And then I just went into a local café down in town and said, do you fancy having some harp music playing one afternoon? And she was like, yes, that's one of my dreams. I was like, oh gosh, okay. And there was a big trail running event going on, so there were thousands of people in town, and she said, would I come and play on her terrace while that was going on? So I did, and it was fine, and I really enjoyed it. And quite a few people came and said how nice it was, and a little child came up, it was so cute, actually it was a little boy, came up and stared at the harp and what I was doing, went back to his mum, came back and put a euro on my amplifier. It was so cute. On Saturday, just gone, I went with my husband's choir concert to the south of France, and we played a couple of concerts with his choir, and I think I played the best I'd ever played one night, and I was just really relaxed, and I thought, I'm not going to see any of these people ever again, it really doesn't matter, just go and enjoy it. And I had a totally different mindset to how I've had before, and it went really well. And I'm buzzing. I'm still buzzing.
Amazing. Amazing. That's lovely.
Be kind to yourself. And in your harp journey, just enjoy it and let the harp look after you. Be kind to yourself.
Welcome to the How to Harp podcast, where your harp, your journey are always front and centre. I'm Heather Downey, harpist and founder of How to Harp, your online space for expert guidance and endless inspiration. Each week, we are here to empower, inspire and encourage you, whether you're just beginning or many years into your harp adventure. From chats with world-class professionals to real stories from everyday harpists to practical tips you can use right away. This podcast is all about helping you feel happy, confident and fulfilled with your harp. This is episode 16 of the How to Harp podcast, and today I'm chatting to learner harpist and How to Harp team member Katherine Rigby-Jones. Many of you will know Katherine as our customer relations manager, answering emails and looking after our community, but in this episode we are focusing on her harping and her harp journey. Katherine is originally from England and now lives in the beautiful French Alps. She first fell in love with the harp as a child and finally bought herself her own harp with money left by her parents. She then had a gap of multiple decades before truly starting again about 3 years ago. In our conversation, we talk about coming back to the harp as an adult, moving between lever and pedal harp, and how quickly things can change when you start saying yes to opportunities. We also dig into how she fits harp around life in the Alps, from yoga and relaxation sessions to playing in local cafes, care homes, and at her husband's choir concerts. Katherine shares honestly about confidence, dealing with performance slips, learning with ADHD, and why the harp has become such an important source of calm and comfort for her. There is so much relatable wisdom in here for adult learners at every stage. So settle in and let's get into the episode. Hello, Katherine. So good to see you today.
Hello.
Thank
you for having me.
This is like kind of fun and weird at the same time, isn't it? Because we see each other all the time working in How to Harp, but we're here in a different capacity.
Well, we're like this.
Very true. There's a lot of chat goes on in our How to Harp chat rooms. For sure.
Absolutely.
But of course, we're here to talk about you as a harp learner and your harp journey. So why don't we start right from the beginning, and you can tell us what first drew you to the harp? Why did you want to learn to play?
Well, I just love music, and as a little girl, I played the piano. But we had friends who were these beautiful twin girls who we went to their house. They were friends of my parents, and there was this harp sat in the corner. And I saw these gorgeous girls, and they were like playing little bits on the harp, and it just sounded so beautiful and angelic. And I thought, and I was a real tomboy, but I just thought, oh, I'd like to be like that. And said to my parents, can I play the harp? And they were like, no, it's too expensive and it's too hard to carry around. And actually your piano teacher teaches the flute, so you're going to learn the flute. So that's what I did. So, and I still play my flute, like 40 years later. So.
Well, that's nice. It's good. So you started learning the flute. It is a lot easier to carry around.
It certainly is. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, but you must have come back to the harp at some point then, because you have two harps in the background there, and I know you're a harp learner. So when did you come back to that idea?
Well, sadly, both my parents died when they were quite young, and they left me some money. And the first thing I did was buy a harp because they hadn't let me have one. So that was my gift from them. And I had two very small children at the time. They were 1 and 3. And I got a harp teacher who lived nearby, which was very lucky. And I had lessons for about 4 or 5 months. And I loved it. But I soon realised with two very small children, I just didn't have time to practice and do it justice. And it ended up sitting in the side of the sitting room for nearly 35, 40 years. And then when both my girls became independent 3 years ago, I thought, right, now is the time to start learning again. So I looked online, found a teacher who was actually in the Caribbean, and I'm in the French Alps. So that wasn't quite as convenient as before. But yeah, and I haven't looked back really. So so 3 years ago I started again.
You started up proper again. And when you started up proper, what harp were you playing? You weren't playing that pedal harp that you have behind you or the Odyssey you have beside you, were you?
No, I was playing my 30-odd-year-old Camac Corrigan 36-string harp, which still sounded remarkably good for having being unused. It had its original strings and everything.
Oh my God, that's not something to be proud of, you know.
Well, I didn't know any better. I really didn't know any better. I was coming to it from nothing. So I thought, it sounds fine, that'll do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not?
But I haven't got it anymore, so I did learn.
Of course, yeah. So now you've got your pedal harp. So at what point did you, but you still have a lever harp, but at what point did you sort of decide, no, I would also like to have a pedal harp?
Well, I'd literally only been having lessons for about 8 months with a very enthusiastic and lovely teacher who was brilliant. And I said to her, I really like the sound of my harp, but I think it's got some things going wrong with it, and I think maybe it's time to change it. So she agreed with me and said, yes, get a new harp. So I actually got an Azalis, and I played that for a bit and thought, yeah, no, it's lovely, but actually what I really want to do is play like when you hear in orchestras that beautiful big full sound that the harp plays. And and she said to me, get a pedal harp. She had a pedal harp. She said, why don't you hire one and see how you go? So I found one and rented it for 6 months and just went, whoa, this is amazing. And I just love the sort of visceralness of it, how when it's resting on you and the sound comes into your body and it's quite heavy, and I love that. And then I sort of realised quite quickly that actually this is where I wanted to go. So my husband the long-suffering person that he is, said, okay. And I bought a pedal harp, which is this one, and sold my Azalis, but then realised, oh, actually, this is not very easy to transport around. So I bought my little Kamak Odyssey, which I take more easily places. So yeah, I know I'm very lucky to have got the Vendome, and it was a dream. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's answered your question.
Yeah, it did. It was It was a lovely answer. I loved it. So really, if we think about how long you've been playing, do you think it's fair to say that even though you've had a harp in your life for around 40 years, you've only really been playing for about 3 years?
It'll be 3 years in December.
Wow, anniversary time. Amazing. But of course, you had some music knowledge before you came to the harp because you learnt your flute from a young age. So can you tell us, as an adult learner who had the theory knowledge, who had the music knowledge, I would see that as both an advantage and a disadvantage, starting a new instrument, being proficient in one instrument and having the theory knowledge there. Can you talk a little bit about how you felt that helped your harp journey and also how you maybe felt it hindered you?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because my first teacher, I now have lessons with Heather. My first teacher was trying to get me to play things that I think actually were too advanced for me. But because I could read music and I knew what it was meant to sound like, I was being pushed a little bit too much at the beginning. But then when I found you and you said, whoa, actually back pedal. And I learnt that it was okay to play things that were really simple. But actually what I really needed to do was focus on my technique. So I had to allow myself to say, no, you can't do that yet. That's going to come in time. But actually, it's fine to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star if that's what you need to do to get started. And do you know what? It sounds lovely on the harp. So, enjoy it. It doesn't have to be the most complicated piece of music to sound great. So, so I think it was allow yourself to go right back to the beginning, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's already great advice. I feel like there's going to be some gems coming out of this in this chat today. That's really good advice. So how did you find me? What happened? How did you transition from your first teacher?
I found you because my teacher went to go and do a master's in music therapy, I think it is, with the harp. And she moved to New Zealand and she decided to stop teaching. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? And I went back online and I think I saw your harmony course first. So I joined that and really liked how you taught, and then looked into how to harp a little bit more and went, this sounds great. And I spoke to my teacher and said, I found this lady called Heather Downey. What do you think? And she says, I know of Heather. She's brilliant. She said, yes, I'd feel quite comfortable letting you go and join Heather and let Heather teach you. And she said she was really chuffed. So I signed straight up. And then I think the first retreat came and I signed up for that straight away. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh dear, that's so funny. But of course now, so you joined How to Harp. It must have been about nearly 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years ago.
Yeah. And you got stuck right in. You were immediately an active member of the community. Like you said, you booked up for the retreat. You got involved in the practice together sessions and you were there all the time. But you wanted more, didn't you? Because you're now a member of the How to Harp team. But maybe it'd be interesting for our listeners to find out how that actually happened.
Well, I think it was during our lessons, and I was seeing all these emails and everything that was going on. I was thinking, how on earth does Heather do that? And I said, do you fancy coming and having a little break in the Alps? And you and William came to stay, and we all got on really well and thought, oh, this is really lovely. And then when I heard that you were looking for somebody, I just sent you an email, I think, while we were away, and said, do you need any help? And you went, well, actually. And yeah, we haven't really looked back, have we?
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love having you part of the team. It's really nice how it's all worked out, isn't it? William's here as well. I'm looking at him and being like, it's really nice how it's all worked out.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
It's really good. We're so glad to have you, Katherine. And do you think
I'm
that...
glad to be here.
What do you think's happened to your harp? Because your harp playing in the last year since you joined the How to Harp team, it's kind of gone woohoo, hasn't it? Because so tell us about what happened to you as a harp learner when you joined the harp team, the How to Harp team.
Well, I think, if I'm entirely honest, I flung myself into the How to Harp team, and my harp playing went like that a bit, because I used to play for 3 or 4 hours a day sometimes. I could get really hyper-focused on it. And instead I got hyper-focused on How to Harp, which I love, and I still do, but that's okay. So my harp playing has, took a nosedive, but then I've been doing all sorts of things with it. And it's coming back up, and now I would say I'm back on an upward trajectory while managing How to Harp as well. I'm doing both. Yeah. So it's good.
And I think it's a really important thing to share with learners, because I think sometimes people don't realise how much our harp journey does take those peaks and troughs, and that's completely natural. And I remember that we visited you again in, I think it was May or June. So you joined the team in like November-ish last year. Oh, it's going to be almost a year next month.
It's nearly a year.
Yeah. And then I feel like, we didn't have lessons. We went away to Australia on tour. There was loads of stuff going on in the membership, and we hadn't kind of connected about your harp playing for a while. And then May or June, I came back out to you, and both of us were like, right, we need to get lessons back in the diary, regular. And then from June, like you say, you started, re-realising your dreams for the harp, revisiting those goals that you had before, and like kind of reinvigorating yourself. But would you say that break has maybe done you a bit of good?
I'm sure it has. Yeah, it's made me think about what I really want to do and how to get there, and to realise that actually I haven't got as much time as I had before, so I need to be much more focused when I am practising, instead of just playing over and over again the things that I like to play. It has been good, and I feel as though I'm moving in the right direction now, which is lovely.
Yeah. So if there's anyone out there listening who's in a little bit of, maybe you're in a bit of a trough moment in your learning, don't worry. You can come out the other side. It's not the end of things. It really is just a different beginning, right?
Absolutely. And, be kind to yourself. You have life that's going on as well. And your heart will be there when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like now's a perfect time to listen to some of your music. You've recorded something for us. So we'll have a listen, and then maybe you can tell us why you've decided to record this piece and what it really means to you.
Okay.
you tell us about the piece?
Oh, well, that's Ondulations à la surface de l'eau by Tamsin Dearnley. And it's one of my favourite pieces because it's archetypical of what I wanted to be able to play when I was a little girl. And it's really simple to play. It sounds lovely, and it's just very gentle. And yeah, I love it. So it's my go-to sort of, I need to give myself a hug piece of music. So yeah, I would highly recommend it to anyone. And it sounds a lot more complicated than it is. So if you want to learn something floaty, I would highly recommend that one as well.
Amazing. That's great. So tell us a little bit about you as a learner, really so that our listeners, I think, can try and relate to themselves as learners. So you've obviously learnt the flute from a young age. You came to the harp, had a bit of a difficult time starting with because of family, etc., etc. You're back at the harp now. I'm sure you've learned a lot about yourself as a learner over those years. So can you tell us how you think you learn best, or some of the things that you feel you've learned about yourself through your harp journey?
Okay. I think that I've definitely learned, and I've had that reinforced with some of the guests you've had on How to Harp, that I learn best in small chunks. Mm-hmm. So I think I now learn small pieces of a piece, but of several pieces, and then come back to them. So the interleave practice that Angela does. And I've worked that into how I practice just naturally. But it's interesting because thinking back, that's how I used to learn. I've done lots of studying and I've done 2 degrees. And when I revised, I used to put things into little chunks and then learn little chunks at a time, and then go back and revisit the little chunks to make sure I still had them, do something else, and then go back and revisit them. And I'm doing that with my harp playing, which is interesting because that's something that I intuitively did sort of 20, 30 years ago as well. So it works. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really helpful and insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And let's talk a little bit about, I feel like it's a little bit unfair for you because I am your teacher. So I know a lot about what you are working on and what you want. But maybe you could share, because we had a really kind of big discussion in June before we restarted our lessons, where we talked about what do you actually really want, so that we can make sure that in your lessons we're actually working towards what you're hoping to achieve with the harp. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what you told me in June that you really wanted with the harp, because a lot of that's changed now, right? Just in those few short months. So think back to June and what you told me then.
Well, I'm pretty sure I told you that I wanted to be able to play in public. And my plan is, when I'm 60, in a few years' time, that I want to be able to play for weddings and functions and things, which is partly why I've got the big harp. And I can't think, what else did I tell you that I wanted to do? Oh, I wanted to play regularly in a bar or hotel, just as quiet background music, maybe in a restaurant or something like that. So that was my other goal. And I wanted to be able to play more confidently at my husband's choir concerts. So I think those were the 3 things.
Yeah, you've got it. You're spot on. Good memory there, Katherine.
Yay.
Tick. And when you told me that in June, you said to me, one of the big things was the playing in the local restaurant. And you said to me, maybe in like a year or a couple of years, I could go and play in the restaurant. So tell us all what's happened since June.
Well, I like to dive right in to things. So I've got a friend here who does yoga and Pilates and relaxation, and we started doing harp and relaxation sessions together, which were really nice, relaxed things where I was playing very easy pieces of music, bits of improvisation, and I got quite a repertoire of things that I could play relatively comfortably. And then I just went into a local cafe down in town and said, do you fancy having some harp music playing one afternoon? And she was like, yes, that's one of my dreams. I was like, oh gosh, okay. And there was a big trail running event going on. So there were thousands of people in town. And she said, would I come and play on her terrace while that was going on? So I did. And it was fine. And I really enjoyed it. And quite a few people came and said how nice it was, and a little child came up, which was so cute. Actually, it was a little boy, came up and stared at the harp and what I was doing, went back to his mum, came back and put a euro on my amplifier. It was so cute.
What did you do with your euro?
Do you know, I think I just put it in my purse and probably used it for the shopping.
Still, that's nice. That's a special moment. So it's so lovely. So you've set these ambitions, but I think you maybe didn't. I know that we talked when we first started lessons about going back to basics and making sure you've got the fundamentals there. But I think it's fair to say that you were actually able to do more than you thought when you just put yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the most scary thing was walking in and saying, I play the harp, thinking, I don't really play the harp. I sort of noodle around, but I'm not very good. And she was going, oh, yeah, come and play for us. I was going, you do realise I'm not very good? She was going, oh, I don't mind. Anyway, I've done it there twice now, so I can't have been that bad.
No, absolutely not. And, of course, your yoga sessions as well. So how important is it to you, because that's obviously something where you really are giving back. How important is it to you to use your music to give to people? Is that something that means a lot to you?
Really important. In fact, this week I'm going to play at an old people's home on Friday. So I need to brush up on all the things that I play for the relaxation sessions. But I just think it's lovely because watching people's expressions and seeing them enjoying the music, and then afterwards so often they come and they want to touch the harp, or they're scared to touch it. They want to, but they don't think they can, and I'm like, no, sit down, feel, play, have a go, do a glissando, and then they're like, oh, that's amazing. And it's just lovely to see people connect with the instrument. And after I've played at the old people's home before, I've seen a couple of the nurses and they've said, do you know what? For days after you've been, the residents are so much calmer and they're talking about how beautiful it was, even though half of them looked as though they were asleep. They said they're taking it in, they are aware and they're really appreciating it. And that just makes me feel, oh, I'm so pleased that I can do that and give some joy to people.
That's so lovely. It's just so wonderful to hear what you've all done. It's great and inspiring. I'm sure lots of people out there are thinking, yeah, I could do that too.
You absolutely can. I've only been playing for nearly 3 years. You really can. You can go and play the simplest of tunes and people will love it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about the ambitions that you set in June and the goals that you set. And some of those, like you set them for 2 years' time, but some of them you've already achieved. Now, you and I in lessons, I haven't asked you this question in lessons, so I don't know what you're going to answer, but have you thought recently, we are coming to the end of 2025, so have you thought a bit more about what your goals and ambitions might be now?
I would like to be more confident in my playing. I'm quite self-depreciating and I think I need to go, well, actually, no, I can now play the harp. And I'm playing at my husband's choir concert in December and I've actually got quite a tricky piece to play that I've said I'll play. So I've got a few weeks to do that and I'd like to just be more self-confident and think, yes, actually, I can do this. And if I go wrong, it's not the end of the world. I can noodle my way out of it. And I know I can do that. And yeah, so I'd like to have more self-confidence.
Nice. That's a great goal. Do I know what this difficult piece is? I'm getting a little bit worried now.
Oh, it's agony.
Oh, good. Yes, that's okay.
Don't worry, we've started it.
Phew. When she comes to me and says, I've got this difficult thing I need to do and it's in like 3 weeks, I'm like, okay, let's review.
And then I play it the really difficult version, and then on the night I play something really simple. And people still like it, so...
Exactly. Well, there's a lesson there, isn't there, Katherine?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, well, something that I really like to ask all of our guests, our professional harpists and our harp learners, is to talk a little bit about the highs and lows of their journey. And even though reflecting on the lows can be something that's maybe a little bit difficult, I think it's really great and helpful for our listeners to hear that other people go through struggles and how people have overcome those things. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start with maybe a low point in your learning that you might feel comfortable sharing with us and how you got over that. And then we can move to the positive high afterwards.
Yeah, I think a low point was, they're both concerts. And one of them was where I completely forgot the music in the middle of a concert. And I felt awful. Even though I kept playing and lots of people didn't notice, but I actually haven't played that piece since, which is really quite sad because I love it. So it was pure imagination from the membership and I love that. So that's something to revisit. But I really took a knock when that happened. And I thought, oh, no, I can't do this. But then... Shall I go into my high?
Yes, yeah. Well, how did you is your high how you got over that?
My high is, I think that happened a year ago. So, yeah, and I sort of have let that piece drop, and I have let that piece drop because it makes me feel uncomfortable, even though I love it. But I said, no, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep doing it. And even though I didn't want to play at the next choir concert, I did. And I played something really simple. I think I played In the Snow Where the Deers Are.
Nice.
And that was okay. And then I played at the next concert and I played something a little bit more difficult, but not that bad. And then my high is on Saturday, just gone. I went with my husband's choir concert to the south of France and we played a couple of concerts with his choir. And I think I played the best I'd ever played one night. And I was just really relaxed. And I thought, I'm not going to see any of these people ever again. It really doesn't matter. Just go and enjoy it. And I had a totally different mindset to how I've had before. And it went really well. And I'm buzzing. I'm still buzzing.
Amazing. Amazing. That's lovely. That's such a great high to share. And just, I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, but just for people out there who maybe are having lessons or even engaging with people on your harp journey, I know a lot of people learn online, but Katherine and I have lessons, and on Wednesday, there's a lot going on in How to Harp. There always is. And there's always a really good reason to cancel a lesson. There always is with me and Katherine, because there's so much that's going on. And on Wednesday, Katherine messaged me. I was still in my bed. I was still in my bed. Haven't had a very late night.
Still in my PJs.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you know, because we'd been up the night before until like 11 o'clock at night.
We'd been on a Zoom and you said, oh, I've got to do this, that and the other in the morning. And I thought, oh, you've forgotten about the lesson. Never mind.
Yeah, but I hadn't, of course, I had not forgotten about my number one pupil. And Katherine messaged me and said, oh, you know, I've not really practiced and I'm not sure, and maybe we should just skip the lesson. And I'm not going to lie, Katherine, I was in bed and I was like, ooh, nice, maybe we should maybe we should skip the lesson. But I said, well, I hadn't forgotten. I knew that we had the lesson, but can you do Friday? Could you do a different day? Anyway, you came to the lesson, right? You came to the lesson feeling underprepared not ready for the lesson, and scared of the weekend. Yeah?
Yeah. I really didn't want to do these concerts.
Yeah. And so can you talk about how important it is to still go to your lesson if you haven't practiced, still engage with your practice group even if you haven't practiced, and just feel the fear and do it anyway?
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought, what's the point of this lesson? I haven't done anything. I'm going to be wasting Heather's time. But we did it. And actually, I think it's really important, if you haven't practiced, just say you haven't practiced. And you can do something else instead in the lesson that's going to be equally useful. And actually, we were able to then talk about how I was feeling about these upcoming concerts and helping me get in a really good mindset to do it, even though I didn't feel prepared and I wasn't really prepared. But I knew I couldn't let people down and I was going to do it. And you were able to really help me think through the processes that I needed to go through to get myself in the right headspace, and to give me some strategies to be able to play the pieces that I needed to play, because I had 3 things to play. And then I was able to take those to the concerts and think, actually, do you know what? This is going to be all right. Even if it's not perfect, that really doesn't matter. And just go and enjoy yourself. Enjoy sharing your music with people. Yeah. So that's what I did.
And now you've had the best gig of your life so far.
I have, yeah. Well, thanks to you. Thank you.
And thanks to yourself. Definitely. Oh. That's really, really great to hear. So you said earlier in this interview, you said that one of the things you really love about the harp is the fact that it resonates in your body, and it's like having a big hug. And obviously a lot of what your music is about giving to people. And I'm just wondering about the harp for you isn't just about learning an instrument, right? It's about more than that. Can you talk a little bit into that?
Yeah. For me, it's like, because I have ADHD and I've had lots of problems with anxiety and depression over the years, which was probably down to the ADHD with hindsight. But I've got a very busy brain. There's lots going on. And actually the harp is a time where I can just slow everything down. I can focus on the music. It sounds lovely, even when you play things that aren't quite right. And it's very technical, so you have to really concentrate on what you're doing. It's like patting your head and rubbing the tummy all at the same time. And my pedal harp's got feet going on as well. So it's like full on, make every bit of your brain work. And it's just a real calming thing for me. It's therapy. It really is. Yeah. And I feel safe with my harp. Lovely. Which is really nice. That's
so nice. It's so great that you found that. So, as we said, Katherine is a very valued member of the team at How to Harp. Of course, not many people know what it's like to be a team member in How to Harp. Maybe I'm opening a can of worms here. Like, William, maybe this is a dangerous question to ask, but
backtrack.
I know, we can edit it out if we don't like the answer. But what's it like being part of the team at How to Harp?
Oh, well, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I knew I'd love it because you two are fantastic. And it's like a family. It's really, really supportive, encouraging. Everybody wants the best for the whole of How to Harp, but also wants everybody who's behind the scenes to do their best as well. And everybody works as a team really well. We all support each other. And there's always somebody there. If you've got a question within the team, you can just send a little message. We've got all sorts of different messaging systems, and somebody will always reply. So you never feel, oh, what do I do now? So, yeah, it's fab. Really great.
Nice. That was it. We won't edit that out. And as a How to Harp member, what's your favourite thing about How to Harp?
Oh, my favourite thing. Well, I love the community, not just because I've done lots of work on that. And I haven't been as active in it recently as I'd like because I've been so busy. But I think the community aspect is fantastic, and what it offers people is really, really good. But then, there's so much I like. I love the concerts, I love the workshops, I love all the tune bank, I love the fact that we're all supported with the technique bank, so if you feel you're not quite doing something right, there's something in there that's going to help you. Yeah, it's just all fab. Everyone should join.
Nice. Raise. Oh, it's been so nice to chat to you, Katherine. It always is lovely to chat to you, of course, but it's been really nice to chat to you and ask some questions that we don't often talk about. It's just really, really nice.
Yeah.
So we always finish things off. Obviously, you know who our audience are, mostly harp learners, mostly adults. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to our listeners, to our harp learners out there, what would that piece of advice be?
My piece of advice would be what I say to my two girls and what I say to myself quite frequently, which is to be kind to yourself. And in your harp journey, just enjoy it and let the harp look after you. Yeah, be kind to yourself.
That's beautiful. What a lovely place to end it. Katherine, thank you so much. I will, of course, see you in a few hours for work, which I'm looking forward to.
Me too.
Yeah, but for now, thank you so much for your chat.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
A huge thanks to you, Katherine, for joining me on this podcast today. It was such a joy to chat to her in this way, and I know so many of you will have found her story inspiring. Katherine is such an amazing part of the How to Harp team. She looks after her members with so much care and attention. She makes everyone feel welcome, and she's such a supportive, friendly presence in the community. We truly appreciate everything she does for us and for all of you. And I really appreciate her presence in all of our team meetings, in our team chat daily, and just being there all the time. So thank you so much, Katherine, from all of us. Next week is a solo episode from me, and I will be sharing some really practical advice to help keep you up with your harping practice even when life gets busy, especially during the holiday season. I'll be talking about some simple strategies you can use to stay consistent, how to make the most of short practice sessions, ways to keep your harp practice easy and accessible, and how an accountability partner can make a real big difference. Thank you so much for listening to the How to Harp podcast. We really appreciate you being here. Please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and share the podcast with a harp friend. It helps us to grow. It helps us more than you know. And I'll see you all next week.